My name is Stan Healy, and I'm the president of Notus Sports. Notus Sports is a not-for-profit organization based in Greenville, South Carolina. We seek to bring international and national sporting events to the Upstate. We also are the organization that put the bid in for the 2014 UCI Paracycling Road World Championships. It is my honor today to introduce to you Louis Barbeau. Louis is the president of the Paracycling Commission of the Union of International Cyclists. Louis comes to us today from Quebec and is going to make an announcement. Thank you. Louis.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be here again. I was here only a month and a half ago, and can assure you that the weather is much nicer than in Montreal. So obviously, I'm very privileged and very pleased to be here to make some announcement. As you may know, the International Cycling Union Management Committee meets 3 times a year, where they examine various bids from different countries to host the various World Championships. And last weekend in Belgium, where Stan and some of these colleagues were present, Pat McQuaid, the president of the UCI, made this announcement.
Very welcome, everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces and some friends from near and far indeed here today. As Enrico said, we have three management committee meetings a year, and at each of those management committee meetings we award on a program World Championships in the different disciplines over a period of years ahead. And today we had 4, 5 or 6 different World Championships which had to be awarded today in different disciplines, and having studied the events department, having studied the various elements of each of the candidates, they presented it to those elements to the executive board of the UCI yesterday. We discussed them in detail, and then the executive board presented it to the management committee today for the management committee to take those decisions. And so I go through them one by one. Crossing the pond, as they say, for the Paracycling Road World Championships in 2014. The UCI was very impressed with the report that was given from the events department on the candidature of Greenville, USA, and as such we have awarded those Paracycling Road Championships to Greenville.
I know that Greenville has hosted the US Pro Championship for a number of years. Obviously, with an athlete like George and Cappy living here, it's a great community for cycling, and I'm very confident. I came here, as I said before, for a site visit report and made a recommendation to the UCI to grant the World Championships. I was very impressed with the support from the municipality, from Greenville, the city. All the corporations around have already expressed some interest. U.S. Handcycling Federation, represented here by Ian Lawless, that are working hard. Obviously, Greenville Hospital System with Stan Healy here. So to see already 2.5 years ahead of the event, to see that many people being supportive, I think that that is probably what impressed most UCI and made it a success for the candidature. So I'll definitely be here again for the event, but prior to the event, to enjoy also the weather. Guess I'll probably look for a second house. And I want to thank you all for showing up today, and looking forward to a great event. Thank you.
As you saw from the clip, Greenville, we're not just merely Greenville, South Carolina anymore. We're now Greenville, USA. And that gave all of us who were there in attendance when Mr. McQuaid made that announcement, it really gave us all a great sense of pride, and it was a very humbling experience to know that we were in some incredible company. And just to give you a sense of the folks who were in that room, the other 4 additional recipients who were awarded games were South Africa, they were the Czech Republic, Belarus, They were Colombia, South America, and Greenville, USA. And that was a great experience, one I'll never forget. And in essence, what this does for Greenville, it's putting Greenville, USA now on a level playing field where we're competing for world-class events. Events like this and the things that we do in the city that are really, really big, it's a team sport. And it's one of the things that Stan and Ian and Chris and Angie and I talked a lot about on this trip. The folks that went on this trip, we talked about how partnerships are so important, how checking your ego at the door is really important, and it's not about who gets the credit, it's about what you're able to accomplish for your community, and not only that, but making sure that you prepare and you pull off and execute an outstanding event, and that's what we plan to do. And I want to touch on a couple of things which I think are important as to why Greenville, USA. And I think one of the things that's very important is our passion for cycling. And there's no better embodiment of our passion for cycling than this gentleman standing up here to my right. George Handcycling is a name that's not only recognized but is respected throughout the world for frankly just being who George is. He helps people on a regular basis in and out of cycling that a lot of us don't even know about. And the fact that it gives me goosebumps, quite frankly, when George is competing around the world and he's talking about Greenville, South Carolina. It gives me a lot of pride, and I think it gives a lot of us pride. And he doesn't want to let us down, and we don't want to let him down. So I think that's very important. And I think the passion in cycling really translates to the Paralympic cycling as well. We've talked to Ian Lawless a lot about the U.S. Handcycling, and I think when the athletes have been here, I think when they've left, with a great sense of what Greenville's all about. And so we're very proud of that. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. She never likes me doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Angie Pricer and her staff just do an absolutely tremendous job with organizing. She's a stickler on the details, and she nails a landing every time. She does an outstanding job. So when I say it's a team sport, it really is, both from a council perspective and a staff perspective. And I have to say something about partnerships. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but partnerships are pretty much at the core of our DNA here. We at the city, we can't do it ourselves. That's why it's so important to have partners at the county, to have Medalist Sports and U.S. Handcycling, and now Notus Sports. And obviously, I work for Bon Secours St. Francis, but Greenville Hospital System has just been tremendous. And now with the paracycling, it's focused on Roger C. Peace Rehabilitation Hospital. They've been a great corporate partner, and frankly, we couldn't have gotten to this point without them. And touch on the impact very briefly. The impact, we all can visualize what the direct economic impact would be. Chris Stone's here from the CVB. Could probably teach a lesson on how important that is from a restaurant, service, hotel perspective. But one of the things that we hear a lot about at the city is kind of what we refer to sometimes as the ripple effect. It's not things that happen immediately, but it's the athletes and the visitors who come here. They experience Greenville. They experience our southern hospitality, and they experience our natural scenic beauty. They go back home and they tell people there about it, and it may be 1, 2, 5, 10 years before people end up visiting Greenville, but they end up here. Some end up moving here. Some end up starting businesses here. But nonetheless, they all have to come and visit Greenville. So once again, I can't tell you how proud we are to be the host city for the 2014 Paracycling World Championships. It's just another great day to be in Greenville, USA. Thank you.
Now it is my honor to introduce George Handcycling, and I will tell you, when we went initially to even explore the proposal of this bid, when we went and spoke with Louis in Denmark, one of the things that we had mentioned was how great Greenville is and how, the significance of our cycling community. Then we mentioned George Handcycling and the fact that worldwide how well known he is and just so well respected. George is currently racing with Team BMC. He is the 16-time Tour de France competitor, and he's also a 3-time USA Cycling Pro champion. George Handcycling.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Really just honored to be part of the bid committee for the Paracycling World Championships. What a wonderful event to have here in Greenville, South Carolina. Just the fact that it's adding to Greenville's already long list of events, of cycling events, and really just outdoor healthy events are really promoting Greenville across the nation and across the world in many respects. One of the things that I believe these events help is not only promote Greenville nationally and across the world, it also helps our local people really get to understand and realize all the wonderful things that Greenville provides, the bike paths, the roads, the weather. If you're a cyclist, this is really an ideal place to ride a bike. So this event is really going to help promote that. And like I said, I'm honored to just be part of this bid committee. I'm honored that the World Championships will be here in 2014, and I can't wait to watch the winners. And I'd love to see my personal friend Matt Updike, who Handcycling Sportswear has got a great relationship with, hopefully win or at least be podium. I'm really going to help him and support him with that endeavor, and I'd love to see that happen. And to all the athletes that will be participating in the 2014 Paracycling World Championships, I really hope that you understand and realize why we all love Greenville, South Carolina so much. So thank you. Thanks for having us.
On behalf of the state of South Carolina and the Department of Parks, Recreation and Tourism, I'm really here today just to say congratulations to Greenville, and Louis, congratulations to UCI for having picked a wonderful site. You're going to have a great time when you're here. Tourism is the #1 industry in the state of South Carolina. Everybody who lives on the coast knows that. But nowadays, the folks who live in the upstate, particularly in Greenville, are beginning to realize that too. What you've done and what you will do to bring this event in adds more to the luster and reputation of this community as a sports tourism hub. I'm a little embarrassed to reveal just how long I've been around, but I was here with the Tour de Pont and rode on. Now, I didn't bicycle that day. I rode on the back of a motorcycle as we came down, back and forth down the road here in front of all the cyclists. At that time, almost no one could have dreamed of what that would mean long-term for this community. It's hard to fully understand what an event like this can mean for your pride, for your reputation, and even for the dollars and cents that are left behind. So I just want to say again, congratulations and thank you on behalf of all South Carolinians for bringing this here. Thank you.
Paracycling is a sport that includes road and track events for athletes with a physical or visual impairment. Paracycling has been present at the Paralympic Summer Games since 1984. It is the third most important sport in terms of number of medal events at the Games. 50 events, including 32 on the road and 18 on the track, will be held at the 2012 London Paralympic Games. Considered as one of the most spectacular sports, it is also greatly appreciated by the spectators. The international calendar includes Paracycling Road and Track World Championships and an annual Road World Cup. More than 50 countries take part in these different events, and this number is constantly growing. As all sports with a Paralympic aim, paracycling relies on a classification system to ensure a fair competition by regrouping athletes in different divisions, enabling them to compete among themselves with equal chances. In paracycling, we find 4 main classes determined by the type of bike used: regular bike, tricycle, tandem, handbike. Each of these classes is then subdivided in different sport classes depending on the degree of disability of the athlete. There are in total 12 sport classes, both for men and women. Tandem pilots paired with visually impaired cyclists are the only athletes without disabilities who are allowed to participate in paracycling events. The majority of rules and regulations concerning paracycling are the same ones that we can find in road and track cycling events. The different regulations that specifically concern paracycling are mostly related to the nature of the athlete's disability and the equipment used. The choice of bike used depends on the athlete's disability and generally is defined as follows. Tandems are used by cyclists who are visually impaired, teamed with a sighted pilot. Handbikes are used mainly by paraplegic, quadriplegic, and amputees of one or both lower limbs. Tricycles are used by cyclists with a brain injury who need more stability due to their degree of limitation. Standard bikes, with or without adaptation, are used by athletes with a mild brain injury, athletes with one or more amputation, or any other form of physical disability of their upper or lower limbs. In road events, there are time trial races, road races, and stage races for all sport classes in paracycling. There is also a team relay for handbikes. The track events are limited to athletes who use a standard bike or a tandem. The events in the UCI sanctioned events are the individual pursuit, the 500-meter, 1-kilometer time trial, the team sprint, and the sprint. Paracycling is a sport that promotes the integration of athletes in several aspects. Several national cycling federations have recently integrated paracycling with their structure, thus giving these athletes the same privileges as the athletes who are said to be able-bodied. There is also a growing number of athletes who have a disability who train alongside able-bodied athletes. Spectacular, unique, and growing fast around the world. This is paracycling.
I learned a few things from that video, no doubt. I kind of chuckled through it because I'm notorious for dropping my chain all the time. And in that small segment, I was in there for about 3 seconds. That was the part where I dropped my chain as well. So thank you for that. I was asked a venue of this caliber, what does it mean to somebody like me, an athlete, participating athlete? It means a lot of things. Personally, obviously, there's an opportunity to be on a world stage here domestically in the United States, which doesn't happen, which has not happened in my entire career that I've been cycling. And it's really sort of near and dear because personally, for one thing, I race in it. And second, to be able to win on a domestic soil at a world championship level would mean a lot to me personally. But second, I would say most importantly is what it could do for the sport, both for developing the sport, bringing more venues, bringing more sponsorship, because it's all about support and networking. As the mayor said, it's a collaborative effort. There's no such thing as individual sport. You can ask anybody. Even George would attest to that. Nobody wins a time trial on their own. It's your coaching, it's your training, it's a support network, it's the masseurs, it's the sponsors. It's a collaborative effort, and that doesn't happen without everybody sort of working as a cohesive unit. And there's strength in numbers, no doubt. But what's sort of near and dear to me by far is I'm a disabled vet of the Marine Corps. I work a lot with the Wounded Warrior community. And my brother is active duty still with the Army Special Forces. The guy's been shot 5 times. The imminent possibility that he could be there alongside me is very real. And I have a lot of personal friends that I've developed over the years who are cycling and are looking and just now discovering the power of recovery through sport as therapy. To me, I would not be where I'm at, both psychologically, spiritually, and physically, recovering from where I was at post-injury, breaking my back, where I was wheelchair-bound and never going to walk again, so on and so forth, to where I was at in that lowest point, and now where I'm at now, both career-wise, personally, physically, and spiritually. It's night and day difference. I could never imagine or fathom sitting in my wheelchair, laid up in the ICU, that I would be doing anything at this caliber. You know, competing at the Paralympic Games, winning a gold medal, racing, standing in front of y'all, talking about, you know, anything relevant that anybody would want to listen to. So it's made a huge impact on my life personally. So anything in support of creating venues here domestically, such as this caliber, is an effort that I will support in any way I can. And it's really truly an honor to have individuals, you know, like you know, George Handcycling, the City of Greenville mayor, you know, and you know, so on and so forth, the various hospitals affiliated here, and a very beautiful city at that. I swear I'm back at San Diego. I'm from San Diego, and all the descriptions, I think I'm going to move here, seriously, unless San Diego has a sister city. So, you know, thank you for having me. It's truly an honor. I'm really looking forward to it. 2014 is not that far away, especially those people involved in the planning. I'm sure that feels like it's next week. So thanks for all the work, all the unsung heroes in the background, because without y'all, you know, that's my southern accent, this wouldn't be coming together. Thank you very much.
Great things about the sport of handcycling for all the bike racing fans here who have